Welcome to Here's the Deal, where we educate, elevate, and inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs. On Here's the Deal podcast, we tell the real stories of business owners, the challenges, the lessons, and the wins that define their journey. And through Here's the Deal video marketing, we help you share your story with the world, creating high-quality video content that's easy, comfortable, and cost-effective. Because every entrepreneur has a story worth telling. And at Here's the Deal, that's where that story comes to life. So you want to start a podcast? All right. I've been getting this question a lot. People have been talking to me about how to start a podcast, what to do, things like that. And I've actually had to even design a product because the demand is getting more and more increasing. So Here's the Deal. We're designing a product where we're going to help you coach you through and produce a show for you. But I actually was just a guest speaker at a Lineable event last night where I was talking about exactly this. People want to start a podcast because they're getting it too. They're like, hey, can you come here and talk about podcasts? Because a lot of people are asking about it. So absolutely. To get started, I really think that there's like three pillars. Okay. There's going to be what it is that the show is about, the clarity of the message, the consistency, and just hit the effing button. That's it. Those are like the three pillars right there. This is really for like entrepreneurs, small business owners, coaches, people with a story or a skill, that they want to share. Okay. So, they know that there's somebody out there that, maybe feeling the same things like, hey, and you could inspire people, I want to tell you, this is really not about becoming Joe Rogan. Okay. This is about using the podcast as a business tool because, you want to tell your story. You want to share what you know. You want to inform people. You want to inspire them. And there's people out there that, really need to hear it, So one of the first pillar that I would really consider is, you got to have, the message. Okay. You got to have a clear message, what it is you're trying to do. Here's the deal, where it's more about, educate, elevate, and inspire entrepreneurs. You know what I mean? That's really it. I'm taking my 30 years of business banking experience and I'm just dispensing that knowledge for people out there that want to start a business or they want to scale their business or, they want to develop exit strategies. My first question when I say, the show is about your message is if someone stopped you in a grocery store and asked, what is your podcast? Can you answer it in one sentence? That's the key. Because a podcast without a clear message is more just noise. You know what I mean? But a podcast with a clear message becomes a platform. And again, well, here's the deal. Educate, elevate, and inspire entrepreneurs. That is the message. That is the platform. That is everything that we're trying to do. We're trying to help people that are out there that have something in here that really want to get something going, or they're already in business, but they want to take it to that next level. Or like I said, they're looking to exit. And, they don't have a strategy and things like that. And here's all the things that, we can do to help them. So if, every episode, that we do here, and here's the deal, it has to hit one of those, has to hit either educate, has to elevate, or has to inspire entrepreneurs. If it doesn't do one of those three, then we're not doing it. Just, we're not just putting out shows just to put out a show. All right. We don't do that. It's always on message, always on point. This is about helping entrepreneurs. That's this show. That's my show. What your show is can be whatever it is, whether it's about, mental health or, or about cooking or whatever it is, that's your message. For here at this show, that's the standard. We got to educate, we got to elevate, and we got to inspire. If we're not doing that, then we're not doing the show, period. So be specific on who your show is for. It could be, there's shows out there for single dads. There's shows out there for single moms. There's shows out there talking about, different things, childcare or whatever, or, being an auto mechanic, there's all different kinds of shows. So you got to be very specific who your message is for. Okay. If you say your message is for small business owners, okay, it's for small business owners. That's what this show is about. It's not for everybody. I'm not trying to make a show for everybody. Okay. I'm not trying to entertain. That I'm not. Maybe you are. Maybe maybe you want to be a stand-up comic. I don't know, but you want to keep it specific. Okay, like to have that clear voice. Think about what is somebody going to walk away with. You know, and think about why you're the one that needs to be saying it. Okay, like I said, I have 30 years of business banking experience. I've seen and done a lot of deals, good, bad, ugly, sideways. Didn't look like it was going to get done, got done, and everything in between. And so that's who who my message is for. You don't want to have a vague message, because messages equal vague audience, and when you have a vague audience, you have no audience. So you definitely want to know who you're talking to and have that clarity. Okay. The number one reason why podcasters start, like 31% of them say it's to help support and motivate others. That's definitely what this show is about. I have that each one teach one kind of mentality. So that's the reason why I'm doing it. What your reason for doing it, like I said, could be anything. If you want to help, somebody with your experience, like say you had a spouse who died, God forbid, and you want to help others through that process and things like that. I can't speak on that. I don't know nothing about it. Praise God. But if you have experience in that, or like, let's say me, I'm prior military. So if I want to do like a prior military show, things like that, I could talk to veterans. This show was originally for veterans when I very first started it. Things like that's different because I can speak on that because I'm a veteran, obviously. So you have to have that real clear message. Who is this for? What's the audience? If you don't really have that defined message, you just start kind of rambling. The clarity is what separates a hobby from a platform. That's really it. Like I say, because are you doing this to mess around, or you're trying to really like build something and things like that. I have a challenge for anybody out there who is looking to start a podcast. Okay, if you can write your message in one sentence before that episode starts. Okay, write the message, one sentence. If you can do that, then you got a show. Okay. My second pillar, consistency is king. Okay. The audience needs to know where to find you, when to find you, period. That's it. They need to know when and where the show is going to be put on. They know my show's coming out on Tuesdays every week. New episode. That's happening. Okay. And I got a little sideways when I had the car accident, and when I was first starting up the video marketing side, things like that, I got a little sideways. I got a little inconsistent. Yeah, okay, guilty. I can admit it, but we're back on track now. We're doing this every week, every Tuesday. That show's coming out. Bang, done. Because the same day, same time thing. It's like same bad time, same bad channel. my Gen X people out there. I don't care if you have 12 listeners, you have 12,000 listeners. Be consistent. Let the people know, hey, next Tuesday, this episode, or whatever day you decide to pick it, that this is going to drop. It's like some people, I was like, I really just, somebody was asking me like this, somebody asked me this last night, like, when should we do it? Like once a month? Like once a month? What good is once a month? Like this is a microwave mentality. People like, you lose your spot like tomorrow if you're not coming out with something new. Okay. So you got to get past the, I don't feel like it this week. You got to get past that. Okay. It doesn't matter because your audience, your audience needs to hear it. Okay. If you built any kind of an audience, they need to hear it. And if you just don't feel like it, I mean, do you see Joe Rogan calling out, or Sean Hannity, or whoever else? You're like, no, they don't. They're there. Period. End of story. The consistency is going to equal the trust. You know what I mean? So if they don't know where you're going to be and you're going to be there, then they can't trust it. Things like that. Like I said, the consistency is going to equal the trust. The trust will get the audience, and that's where you're going to build the business, right? Here's a hack for you. Like I said, if you're going to do one, like I said, if you're going to do a show, knock out 2 or 3 episodes in one shot. So that way you do have that break, especially like I said, if you know you're going to go on like vacation or something, or hey, it's going to be a super busy weekend. We got kids parties, wedding to go to. We're going out, whatever. Okay. If you know, I said, hey, I'm going to be out for a week or two, knock out 2 or 3 episodes. You know what I mean? Just do it right then and there. Can them. You could just, with your phone, you can just, put them out there on your CRM. You could do on ours on Partner Pro. We can do that easy off the app. It's real simple. So if you can fit that into your schedule and you don't want to record every single week, great. Like I said, take one day, knock out a few of them. That way you got them all canned, good to go. Then you're about your business. I would say it's probably going to take about 2 years to really, because this is, like I said, I've been doing this for March 15th of 24. That's when I went full time, all out. Like I started it in 20 like everybody else. And like I said, I did a little here, did a little there. There was nothing to it. I had no audience. I had no, because I didn't have the consistency of it. You know what I mean? So that's the key. I'm telling you again, consistency is going to be the key. You can't, it's not going to be done tomorrow. You're not going to build an audience in 2 weeks. Like I said, that weekly, that's, you got to put out at least one show a week. Not bi-weekly, like I said, you can't go whenever you feel inspired. Okay. You gotta really, be dedicated to this thing. Said about 44% of podcasts don't make it past 3 episodes, which that's like, wow. 20, I believe it. Only 8% make it past episode 10. We're well past that. Episode 21, and you're in the top 1%. Well, like I said, I got way more than 21 too. So but that's going to come with the consistency. The publishing consistently is the number one predicator for podcast survival. So that's one thing. It has nothing to do with the equipment. It has nothing to do with the topic or the audio quality. You make every excuse in the world. You know what I'm saying? It's consistency. You know what I mean? I don't have any followers because I don't have the right camera set up. Wrong. You don't have any followers because like I said, you're not hitting the button. Okay. We're going to get to that. Industry research shows that it takes an average of 2 years and 100 episodes before most podcasters see meaningful results. That's right about where we're at. That's the subscribers and everything started kind of coming along. I think that algorithm starts picking it up, and it's people are saying like, hey, I saw your latest show on my YouTube feed and things like that. So that's right about where we're at. So like I can attest to that because this is what's coming along. The people who win aren't the most talented. They're the ones that don't quit. Does that sound familiar? That's a lot of things in life. Okay. You've seen this time and time again. On paper, this team looks unbeatable, but it was the team that beat them wouldn't quit. That's who wins the fight. The one that don't quit. Okay. It's the same thing in business. Think about your business for a minute. You're going to sit there and say, I don't feel like running the business today. If your shop opens up at 9:00, it doesn't matter whether you had a good day, a bad day, good weekend, bad weekend, you're going to open. Okay. You're going to be open for business. You got to treat your podcast like that. You got to treat it like it's a business asset. If you don't, then you're not going to have a podcast. It's, pretty simple. The last key pillar. This is pillar number 3. Are you ready for this? It's really profound. Hit the effing button. Okay. Hit the button. Hit the record button. Just do it. Just freaking do it. Your first episode's going to suck. Okay. It's going to be bad, right? Your 5th episode might be bad. That's okay. You know what? Get over it. You're going to get better. The more you do this, you're going to get better. My first show sucked. Okay. Probably was quality. I think I was using, was I using Zoom? I don't even remember what I was even using. I might've been just using my phone. I don't know what it was. I know I started with just straight audio. I was doing like audio files and uploading those on Spotify before they could do video. And then when the video thing, I was using Zoom, I can record the Zoom and I'm like, man, no clue what I was doing, but I kept hitting the effing button, and that was the key. Um, it's like I don't care who it is. Every great podcast, that first episode is going to be cringe anyway, man. Just you're going to get better as you keep going. But if if you're doing it once a month, no, you're not going to get better. You got to do that consistency thing, like we kind of talked about. That ties in to getting the show being even better. I hear this a lot too. And I even thought this. I thought this at first, right? But then I was like, wait a minute. I shook this off really fast. I was sitting there thinking, there's a million podcasts out there. There are. Hell, there's multiple podcasts called Here's the Deal. Okay? But they're not mine. Okay? So what? So what if there's a million people talking about the subject you're talking about? Are they you? Do they have your life? Do they have your scars? Okay? Do they have your wins? Do they have your losses? Do they have your stories or your clients' stories, things like that? No, they don't. It doesn't, it doesn't matter if there's a million people out there, because you are you. You're one of one. You're 30 years in business banking. Okay, there's a lot of people out there that are bankers are talking about shows and this, that, and the other. They haven't done the deals I've done. They haven't dealt with the clients that I had to deal with. The audience wants you. Okay, they want to hear your stories. They want to hear your experiences. They want to know how you overcame the situation or the obstacles and things like that. It's that's the things. But if you're not hitting the button, your audience ain't getting it. It's that simple. And if you're trying to like make it perfect or whatever, so I heard this saying that perfection is just procrastination in a nicer outfit. And I was like, that's kind of cool. So I thought I'd throw that in there. Perfection is just procrastination in a nice outfit. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Because like I said, if you're trying to get it all perfect, things like that, like I said, you're never going to get it done. The equipment doesn't, everyone's like, oh, I don't have the right equipment, things like that. Start with, what you have, and then you can upgrade things and things like that. I mean, okay, look at these headphones. Look at this microphone. I got these from my buddy Mario. He gave them to me. He was done running his podcast. Hey, you want to? Or no, he wasn't done running it. He just upgraded his equipment, and he knew I was just starting mine. He goes, hey, do you want my, this stuff I'm not using anymore? I said, sure, great. What does Dave Ramsey say? If you can make a profit with a $2 hammer when you're first starting a business, why buy a $20 hammer? Okay. And I was just starting out. I said, okay, hey, I'll use that stuff. You know why I keep it? You know why I have still to this day, it reminds me of day one of when I hit the effing button. It reminds me, hey, you know what? And how far the show has come now to where it started right here with these things. It's like, it just gives me that thing. Like, look what it's like that, words of affirmation kind of thing. I'm not really a words of affirmation guy, but every time I look at this setup, I'm just sitting there like, yeah, man. Remember when you first got started? And it's like how much better it is. It's like it for me, it motivates me. I mean, can I go out and buy new nice headphones? These work fine, number one, and so does the mic. Number two, it keeps me like hungry. Yeah, that's what it is. It keeps me hungry. You know what I'm saying? Like, in Rocky, he's trained at mixed gym. He's nasty. When he goes and gets all fancy and stuff like that, he's going to fight Clubber. He's like, why are we renting this joint? This is the house of abuse or something. Let's go back to the old gym when we get some blood, sweat, and tears going. Can we do that? I've seen Rocky a couple times. So that's the thing that, but it keeps me hitting the button. It keeps me hungry. That's why I use this stuff. And it has sentimental value to me too. I mean, at the same time, it's like, hey, I wouldn't have got started with my buddy Mario having me on his show, Fallen 360. That's how it all started. It's all Mario. So if you want to blame somebody for me being on a podcast, you can blame Mario Aguirre for starting Fallen 360. It's his fault. So the equipment doesn't really matter as much, and the studio, and I mean, yeah, I got a great logo and stuff like that. I created it and had somebody do it up really nice, things like that. You don't need the fancy equipment. You don't need, if you need a producer, you hire Here's the Deal, because we are coming out with a shameless plug. We're coming out with the coaching and the podcast production. So if you do need a producer, you hire us. But you don't let that stop you. Okay. And you got to remember, what I say this a lot. What did George Patton say? He said, a good plan violently executed today is better than a perfect plan next week. All right. I want you to think about that for a minute. Just hit the effing button. Just do it. You're going to get better. Keep pushing the button. Here's another stat for you here. 72% of podcasters say that their biggest challenge is discoverability and growing their audience, meaning most people are stuck wondering if anyone will listen instead of just publishing. Don't wonder about if people are going to listen. Just hit the effing button. Just do it. It's going to pick up. People are going to listen. And the more you promote it and the more you put it out there, it's going to catch somebody's eye. Somebody out there is feeling what you're feeling. Somebody out there needs to hear what you have to say. Somebody out there needs to hear your story to say, hey, you know what? If they can get through it, I can get through it. And that's really about it, man, because 95% of the people out here doing these podcasts, we're indie guys. We're just, independent, doing our thing. We're not, corporate sponsored and all this other kind of stuff, but people are listening. People are listening. And, like I said, nobody's going to discover a podcast that doesn't exist if you don't hit the button, man. This is probably about as simple as I can get it. So why is now the time to start? You're like, oh yeah, I'll start. They has, again, now is the time. Now is the time. Podcasting not going anywhere. Okay, if anything, it's just really kind of maturing. It's just really getting to be a real platform. Was it like 584 million podcast listeners out there worldwide or plus? I mean, 55, what was this at? 55% of Americans 12 and over are listening to a podcast. That's that. I mean, that's just hit the button. Somebody's going to listen. There's how many people on the planet? Somebody's going to find the show and somebody's going to listen to it, and they're going to say, hey, did you hear this new show called Here's the Deal? Oh yeah, Chris is talking. You want to start a business, right? You need to listen to this guy, Chris Flowers. You need to listen to Here's the Deal. He goes over all these different things like that. So but you got to be, you got to have the standards, that you got to have the guts to just, as I said, just, be consistent with it, have a clear message, and hit the effing button. I mean, we're going to wrap it up there, but I do, like I said, we are coming out. I'm getting a lot of demands, a lot of people talking to me. So we are coming out with Here's the Deal. We're coming out with a coaching and podcast producing product. So that is coming out soon. Stay tuned. So if you need help with your show, I'm here to help you, because just like I do with the business, like I said, I'm going to be able to help you here with the podcast. We've come a long way, told a lot of stories, especially when I was in banking. Like I said, I had to go past the numbers. Okay. How do you get to your stories? That way I can argue for you in front of the credit committees. I'm going to get your story. I'm going to get out there just like I do for my clients with the reels for your podcast. I'm going to get your story. I'm going to get it out there. I'm going to coach you through it, and we're going to do this together. And, we know what a good story sounds like. I'll tell you, man, we're going to clean it up. We're going to do our thing. So that's really, again, I just want to, put that out there. If you're interested in starting a podcast, give me a call, hit the link below, schedule an appointment. Like I said, we'll do a free consultation. No pressure. No, we're just gonna talk about it, and I'll walk you through some stuff and things like that, and then we'll go from there. So, like I said, free consultation. If you want to start a podcast, just hit me up, okay? And do it. Just do it. I was saying, have a message, stay consistent, and hit the effing button. Just do it. And I'm out. here in closing up the show, and here's the deal. Just want to give all honor, glory, and praise to my Lord Jesus Christ, who, saved my soul and gives me the ability to do this show. Without him, I couldn't do anything. Also want to give thanks to my family. My wife, my kids support me doing this, and backing me up. I couldn't do any of this without them. Also, got to thank the sponsors, of course. Everybody that supports the show, and of course the fans, the people that subscribe to the show. I wouldn't do any of this without you, because it wouldn't be a show. So just want to say thank you all very much. Continue to educate and elevate. Get out there, pursue your passions, pursue your dreams.